Divorce podcast. And we are here in your ears and also for your eyes and YouTube. You can swing on over to the Rose Quartz Divorce YouTube channel to see me. My name's Diana D'Amato. I am here as a divorce doula, but also elsewhere as an entrepreneur, a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, a creatrix of many things, a mom, and hopefully a helper in this wild, wild world that we are all mixed up in on this big blue marble.
Yeah, for sure. Peace, everyone. So, my name is Stephen J. Bryce. I am a liberator, entrepreneur, father, and friend, and it is always a joy to be in conversation and fellowship with my teacher, Diana. How are you doing, Diana?
I'm doing great. Stephen, coming up on a birthday. So it's always
Ooh.
like, yeah, always a time, Gemini season. I wait for it all year. Um, it's like a time, that naturally for me, I reassess my life, look back at the past year, and think forward to what I really want to create for the year ahead. So I've been doing some journaling, introspection, uh, back in my notebooks, and seeing where I was last year, and like I said, kind of where I want to be. I'm making some changes. We've talked in past episodes recently about divorcing your job. And I took some of our advice and and assessed my work situation, and what it was representing, um, what the exchange was like, whether it was healthy, and if it offered enough opportunity for growth. Um, Upon assessing that, I decided it's probably time for me to make a graceful exit, uh, and reclaim some of what I previously felt was my work in life, my real profession, and to really get back to teaching. So I'm making some
Wow.
moves. Yeah.
And how does that feel? How does it feel leading into some of the advice pieces that we discussed?
So it's scary. Yeah. No matter what, and how much you trust the universe, it's scary to sort of walk away from something that is easy to just stay in. But I think I've shared before that what I've been doing recently is just a job. It is in the wellness field, but it just wasn't like really fulfilling. And like I said, I just didn't feel like I was growing enough. And for me, that is very, very important. Even if something's challenging, I'm a problem solver. I like to be able to get in there and untangle things, and really feel like I'm being helpful at the end of the day. However, I really appreciate having had a job for the past year. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's just a portal you're passing through, a time in your life where you're just clocking in and clocking out. And that's okay. That's important too.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel my soul calling out for more at this point. So I'm going to listen.
Yeah. I bet you feel empowered. Of course, it's scary because you can't tell the future, but for you to bet on yourself and believe in yourself, I imagine it being empowering. Would you say so as well?
It is. Yeah. It was really bouncing around in my head for a long time. And when I finally just, made peace with it, like, yeah, it's time. It's time for me to make a move. It did feel like, I felt like I filled myself up more, like I was
Mm,
more embodied. And yeah, that is very empowering. So I'm putting it
Good.
out there. I'm speaking it into being here. I'll let you in on the journey, and anybody who's listening. This is the first step. The first step was, putting in my notice. Um, and now, the cards will get shuffled. The deck is getting shuffled right now. So we'll see how those cards play out and what I'm dealt and what I do with those cards. I'm excited.
Outstanding. I'm excited to hear of the details and developments on this journey.
Yeah, I'll definitely be
I
very transparent here, with how that all goes. So step one, like I said, I'm in step one now. Like I just put in my notice, so we'll see how it unfolds over the next couple weeks. How about you? How's your life going?
Well, I just returned back from a leadership healing retreat where an organization, and I'm not sure if I'm at liberty to disclose the organization or not, but shout out to them. They gathered a bunch of leaders and executives in the city to spend a few days in the mountains of upstate New York, and you know we were around fresh air. At least I hope it was fresh. It felt fresh. The grass was soft. The food felt super organic. Their mantra is from the farm to the table, so they grow their own foods. They provided massages, sound bath, yoga, uh, plenty of free time. Um, and just really took care of us and made sure that we didn't pick up a finger. They just catered to us, and they just wanted to just take care of us because they're aware of the the the, the state of leaders today. We're going, working nonstop, and we often put ourselves in the back burner. I'm guilty of that, not caring for myself as I should, especially since I lead a wellness company, right? Um, and so it was just such a delight to be there. The sun was shining brightly. All you could see are trees, just mountains of trees, and uh, I didn't hear any sirens or or noise. It was just peace and silence, and so now I'm back. I'm pouring from the overflow, and hoping that I'm making a good positive contribution in the world. So I'm in a really good, happy, peaceful place.
You look good. Like I can
Thank
feel
you.
it and see it. Yeah, and it's something we've shared about before. How important it is to take some kind of sabbatical. I mean, the
Yeah,
longer the better, obviously, but even a couple days out of your box, whatever that is, out of the grid of whatever city you live in, seeing different horizons, really opens up the mind. It, literally, the outside reflects the inside. So, we all live wherever we live and we're doing the good work wherever that is. But reconnecting to nature kind of, heals one of those gates of sorrows that we talked about too. And it's not like an obvious grief, like some grief may be, more outward grieving, but that sort of, that gate of sorrow where you're just disconnected from the natural world, um, is one that can only be healed by getting back out there, in nature and doing it for as long as possible. But yeah, it sounds like amazing and it's very inspiring. I would
good,
love to do
good.
something like that. There's some places I've been kind of tracking that I want to go. So maybe I'll take a note from you and do a little retreat of my own as I go through this process and let you know how it goes. And let me see something. Hold on. So anyone who knows me knows I'm
Sure.
totally blind without my glasses. Do you have a beard going? Is there? Do you have a beard now, or am I just?
Is this the first time you seeing or noticing that I have a beard?
Wait,
How
have you
long have
always
we
had a
known
beard?
each other? Yes. How long have we known each other?
Oh my God, you have a beard. See, this is how blind I am. I'm going to the eye doctor. I swear. I made an appointment. I'm keeping it. This is one of those things. I
Wow.
haven't been taking care of myself. I never go to the doctors. I finally started making some doctor's appointments now that I'm going to have some time to go and take care of myself. I mean, I am blind though, Stephen. I am seriously like I cannot see anything in front of me. In fact, it's good I have my glasses on now because I do have my notes for today. My homework is done. Today, our topic we're going to talk about is through the process of divorce. Sometimes you end up having a move that you never planned. So moving can be is often told one of the most stressful, if not the most stressful things that a person is ever going to deal with in their lives. I have moved many, many times in my life, uh, but usually it was because I wanted to move. I was relocating, found a better place, had a new job in a new city. So these were planned moves. But often, when the rug gets pulled out from under you in the divorce process, there is a move you didn't plan and maybe didn't want that can really come down hard on people. So the relocation itself, the rebuilding your life, the restructuring your community, maybe even if you're plugged into your neighborhood, and just all of the fear and anxiety and grief and sadness that can come from having to move out of a house that was your family home is a really, really difficult thing for people. So, sometimes it's not just the marriage that ends in the divorce, but it's sort of this whole concept of your life that falls apart. So I was wondering,
Yeah.
what you think about that, like the sort of difference between like wanting to move, and then this thing of having to move, and what that looks like for couples. Maybe in your counseling business, you've seen, different ways to handle this.
Yeah. I think this is really a considerate, thoughtful topic to discuss because no one we really often think about the living situation um, in the context of a separation and divorce and the economic strain that could cause for folks and when I was going through my separation and divorce uh, it, we were able to compartmentalize the relationship and the living situation, right? And so even though we knew that this marriage wasn't working out anymore, um, I had the option to sleep on the couch, in my car, and I exercised those options accordingly. And we knew that long term that wouldn't be sufficient, and so we created a plan. Okay, this is how we're going to develop the living situation. We want to make sure that our kids are protected in all of this, and so we negotiated and we had we came to the table and agreed to what the living situation will look like. Now it is really difficult for a lot of couples who are going through separation and divorce to arrest their emotions and their pain as a result of the separation, to sit down and say, okay, how can we um, live together or not live together in a way that is healthy and doesn't cause damage to children or their kids. And so mediation is a huge help in that process. I've had to serve as a mediator in those types of scenarios where the husband will live in the attic, um, or sleep in the attic,
That was me.
and
I moved into the attic. Yeah,
that's
with the
unfortunate. In
bats.
most cases, yeah, in most cases, at least those of whom I've worked with, the man will sleep in the attic or the basement, and the wife will have the majority of the house. And I don't even know if it's a matter of gender, but just more so consideration. And uh, I want to say it's a man thing that you just take the attic or the basement and let the mom and the kids live more comfortably as you reimagine what your living situation would look like. But yeah, I think it's a really difficult spot to be in, right? Especially if you're not if you don't have spare cash to take to live somewhere else. Now, essentially, you're doubling your living expenses, right? In some ways, and
I was
I
so
wonder.
surprised when going through, sorry, when going through my divorce. I was so surprised to find out how many couples continue to live together. I just hadn't thought about it. I just thought, I don't know. I thought you just like split up and moved on kind of thing. I never thought I was going to get divorced. I didn't put much thought into that. So, as it was happening to me and I was talking to people about what am I going to do, I couldn't believe how many people had told me, oh, yeah, well, when I went through my divorce, we lived in the same house for 2 years afterwards, or maybe it was 6 months, or whatever it was. I was surprised how many people continue to cohabitate, and that definitely can be, financially, that makes sense. So you don't have to take on double expenses. However, I go back to the question of, are you safe? How many marriages end in something volatile happening? And then if you don't have the finances to leave, um, are you safe cohabiting like that? And if not physically safe, are you psychologically, are you emotionally safe either? And then what if you're not? What if you're not and you can't just leave? And if you decide to leave for your own safety, what do you do about your kids? You can't just leave your
Mhm.
kids there. And then if you do, and even if it is for your own safety, then it will seem like you're abandoning your kids, and then that puts you in a situation where custody arrangements are made and it looks like you left. So there's some really complicated emotional, psychological, and then also financial and legal layers to making that decision of whether you can cohabitate. And I'm not surprised to hear in your situation that you were able to navigate, mediate. Um, but I would I would put it out there that that's probably rare. I think probably for most
Right.
people, it's a pretty volatile time. Um, and in my situation, because I was the one leaving, I guess it was me who moved into the attic, and I was okay with that. I just wanted my own little, emotionally safe place. But it's, the financial panic that can come with realizing, like, how am I going to get an apartment even is real. And then if you decide to go somewhere like to a shelter, what are you going to do? Take your kids out of the home where they live, maybe their pets are, and into a shelter with you? Like, it's a very, very difficult situation to be in, and it's probably why it takes people so long to leave.
For sure. And if we could be a little bit more preventative in this pocket here, for folks who have not arrived to a place where one will have to find another place to live. If you haven't gone through that separation and you feel like you're on the verge towards a separation, I invite you to consider your decision making moments, how you react and respond to your significant other. If there's any opening for peace to be a part of the environment, be a part of the conversations, be a part of you two landing the relationship plane. Can you do it in a way that invites reason, that invites compassion and care, so that even in the moment where you might explode, there isn't this impulsive reaction that says you have to leave the house now.
Like,
Can we
don't
come
do
to a
this
point?
during a fight. Don't do
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
this has to be figured out though. Yeah,
for
because it is
sure.
going to happen, and it is like it's like earth shattering to think that everything that you thought was going to be your life is completely changing.
Hmm.
But the sooner you kind of like get into that, it's just like leaving a job. It's like, that thought is in your head for a while, and it's sort of trying to organize itself, and then you play that first card. Then the deck is shuffled, the cosmic deck gets shuffled, right? And then you have to like play with the new cards that you have. So but I think it's really um to actually tie it into yoga, there's like attachment and aversion we talk a lot about in yoga, and they're very very similar things. Being very attached to something like a house is similar to being very very averse to leaving that house. And these are things in that you can work through, whether it's in a yoga class or with meditation, which I highly recommend. It's like contemplating these things, journaling over these things, talking through these problems with friends, or maybe if you have an affiliation with some kind of minister or mediator from your church or temple or wherever you can go to seek solace for these situations. But actually, like, talking out the realities can sometimes bring you into that place, like we were talking about earlier, of empowerment. It's very very scary, I absolutely acknowledge that. Even moving into a different room in the house, as relaxing as it might be, it's also really scary because things are starting to change. And if we were very attached to not only the way things were, but the way we planned for things to continue to be, then we get, I think, into those situations that are more volatile. So it's okay. It's okay. By the way, I want to say to people, if it's a mess, right? You're in the middle of it and it's a mess right now, and you don't know what you're going to do. That is part of that deck being shuffled. But the cards are going to eventually land on the table. And it's just really about looking at those cards and not being attached to your old hand, what you were dealt before, and not being averse to what's coming forward.
Yeah, and if I could also speak to those who are in love and are moving towards marriage, I think it's important to have these conversations. What if it doesn't? What if this relationship doesn't work out? What is our
Mm.
strategy, our agreed upon plan post relationship, or maybe if we enter into a separation? And I know we don't want to talk about those things, but we have to, because the reality is that sometimes we don't like to be around each other, right? And that happens. you know it doesn't mean that you love each other any less, but things happen, life happens, and so we have to plan for that, right? At least discuss it and have an idea. Maybe tuck some money aside for doomsday, a relationship doomsday, right? If it just like it's just unbearable. Okay, we have this pot of funds. Maybe someone one or one of the parties can go to the mountains for a few days and breathe and reassess and things like that.
It
Sort of
could
like
be
an
like
insurance
a
policy,
vacation slash doomsday fund. Like if we make it each
right?
year, we get to do something fun with it, but some of it stays in there, kind of thing. Like
There you go.
these are all statements, though, Stephen, that we're saying as very very rational people in a rational state of mind at a rational place, right? And you only need to like pull up Dateline to hear lots of irrational ways that this goes down for people too. So
Right.
it is a very, even just downsizing is scary, whether it's like because of your status or where you want to live, or what kind of, going from like a house to an apartment can be really traumatizing to someone's psyche. When you're in a rational state of mind, it could be great, less to clean, could be a really cute apartment, you could make new friends, you have your freedom, you have your peace. But when you're in the throes of it, that might seem like a punishment, like you've been downsized in some way, that is not positive. So I just, you know what, I want to send you a picture. Hold on, I pulled this up.
Okay.
So this is like, I'm going to text it to you right now. Pulled from the headline. So this actually was in Pennsylvania, which I know you're in Philly. I forget exactly where this was, but this is a picture of a house I am sending you. The couple that lived in this house with their two children are getting a divorce. The husband has been asked to move out of the dwelling. And one evening, uh, after probably doing some irrational drinking, he pulled up. Do you see the picture? With this
No, it hasn't
little, what is
come
that?
in yet.
What is the, it's like some kind of little tractor, with like a claw arm attachment to it. Um, and he pulled up to the house and was basically like, I'm taking my half. This is an example of how things can go very, very wrong. I can't wait till this hits your eyeballs. Do you see it?
Yeah. That's so petty.
So petty. You're so right.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I'll post this up. I'll post this up on our Instagram at Rose Quartz Pod on Instagram. Check it out. But this is the saddest thing. I mean, embarrassing too. Like this guy. This doesn't look good for him. And guess what? No good outcomes with the rest of the legal stuff for this guy. I mean, he literally took. What is that thing called? It's like a little tractor with an arm on it. I, I don't even. Someone's gonna have to let us know. And listen, I get it. You have moments where you might like fantasize. you might you might be so mad. Like I get that, and you want to take your half. But I think a key thing to remember here is that if you take your half in an irrational, violent way like this, you're gonna get nothing. You're going to get nothing is going to go your way after you play that card, Joker. So I say, just reality check yourself over and over again. Have a support system in place. If you can, maybe like what I did was I moved closer to my support system. Um, so that's an option. You can make those choices. Make sure you're safe. Your safety is key. Document everything. If you can
Mhm.
record. If you can't record, as soon as something happens, you write it down. You could email it to yourself, but it'll be time and date stamped, and that's really helpful too. And figure out those attachments and aversions, and work through them. Go to a yoga class. It really is a mirror. There'll be like little microcosms that you can practice on, like little things like there's a pose that you're very attached to that you love doing, and maybe it doesn't happen in a certain class, and then how do you feel about that? Or there's a pose that you hate that you can't do or something, and that'll come up in a class. And like actually, so it's this is what we always say in yoga, it's never about the pose, it's about how you are responding to the pose, right? What it brings
For
up
sure.
for you. So you can practice this stuff, and that's why I can't believe that there are people in the world who don't do yoga, because where else do you practice this mess? Work through this mess
Right.
and get
Right.
to a place where we can be Stephen,
Do not
beard
be
and
like me.
all.
I love it. I love it.
So I will post this picture up on our Instagram. That's all I got for you today, my friend. I'd love to hear some input from people on their strategies, how they moved, how they handled everything from finances and mortgages, and getting that new apartment lease, co-signers, whatever it is. Do you have any creative strategies that we can pass on to others? That's what we're here to do at the Rose Quartz Divorce podcast. And you can find us online and write to us through the website if you like. Rose, Quartz, divorce.com is where we're at and where we'll be.
Absolutely. It's been fun as always.
Great to see you, Stephen. Love you so much.
Likewise.
And
Love you
we'll
too.
see you all next time. Peace.
Bye.